So Perry's just come back from the intellectual property lawyer's office.
Yeah, I'm going to teach you the principles of what we're dealing with. So there are three kinds of patent. There's a design patent, and there's a utility patent, and there's a method patent. And the way China works is a little bit different to the way the rest of the world works. So some things are easier here, some things are easier there, and then there's this principle called prior date. Like, so if whoever has an idea and they register it, then they get, like under a design patent, you get 6 months to register it. But once you've 6 months to lodge it or process it, but you just register it, and then you've got a window of time. And with a utility patent, you get it like a year. So the idea is to be able to take things that look in a particular way and say, well, I don't want anybody to be able to make a product that looks like my product. And the other one is I have a product that does something that nobody's done before with a product. So they might be combining two pieces of technology from other industries, or two pieces of equipment together, or two materials even together, but it does something, it has a function. And that function is dependent upon the design. And so with that in mind, you can actually get a utility patent, which means that nobody's allowed, in theory, that if anybody went to make something that did the same as yours, then they would be in breach of that patent. Now, the best example of that in the window cleaning industry is probably, well, Ettore Stacone registered the squeegee. Willie Erkin from Sydney, he registered over 20 years ago, he registered the single point, basically pivoting squeegee. And he had 20 years where he had that patent to himself and nobody copied him, and that expired or wasn't paid up maybe 2 years ago. And so you saw Mormon jump in and really sort of do what Willie didn't do with the idea. So, you know, we've got so many ideas coming, you know, from window cleaners. Some of the guys, and pressure washers now, some of the guys have already gone to patent attorneys and registered their ideas, and other guys are working with us on ideas that will register here, and we'll have a license agreement so that they get a royalty from it. But overall, you know, I don't think there's a lot of money to be made out of patents, and I think that when you register a patent, you're really defining everything that you've thought, and in defining what you've thought, you may be showing somebody who can start where you finished, you know, who's got a fresh mind. And so quite often you'll see people not patent, like chemical formulas, they don't patent them because they don't want somebody to know what they know. People have to work it out for themselves, and people can't be certain what you're doing. So, you know, in that sense, if you register a patent, or we register some of the things we're working on, we don't want to say what they are, because we're really putting it out at our very early stages of the product for somebody else to read it and say, oh, well, if I did that and this together, then I'd be outside of that patent. And I think that's really cool. Seth Godin, is it Seth Godin? Is he that dude?
Seth Godin.
Seth Godin, he's like a famous American, what would you call him, inventor? He's a businessman. And he's the guy who said, you can copy anything I make on one condition, that you improve it. And that's the underlying principle of patents, that patents will only protect your idea as far as you've thought, and it will only protect our idea as far as we've thought. So we're developing products, you know, non-stop, but we're not going to register the patents until we've got to the furthest point of our thinking. And that slows us down in a sense, because you don't want to release a product until you've thought of everything that your competitors are going to think once they've seen what it is that you're doing, and then you've got to work out the validity of that, because you know if you get it right. So, you know, visiting the lawyer today is, you know, trying to work out, okay, which of the ideas that we've got are design patents, which of the ideas we've got utility patents, which are the ideas that we've got are method patents, so you can actually patent a method. So, so it was pretty cool, and some of the ones that you'd think would not be patentable, they're absolutely certain are. So I'm really actually excited. I think we can lock down more of what we're thinking and defend it more than we were, like, for example, with constructor brush or rinse bars or whatever like that, you know. So it was a good meeting.